ESPN is receiving a lot of backlash for pulling announcer Robert Lee from this weekend's football broadcast at the University of Virginia because of his name. Now, the network was concerned that the Asian American broadcaster's name was too similar to Confederate General Robert E. Lee, only in America, and would remind viewers of the deadly riots in Charlottesville earlier this month. Joining me now to discuss the left's rampant political correctness, their attack on American history, and a lot more, national spokesperson for the Congress on Racial Equality and conservative commentator Niger Innis. Niger, I was just shaking my head when I first heard this. What do you make of this story?
It is called theater of the absurd. It's politically correct fascism, politically correct madness that is taking place. And, you know, as funny as this story is, and as absurd as the story is, there is a very serious point, which is that there are elements, and it's not just Antifa, the hard left, violent organization that wants the violent overthrow of the U.S. government and our way of life. But there are hard elements throughout our academia, left-wing media, that truly will not stop at Robert E. Lee or Confederate statues. Their ultimate goal is to overturn the Constitution and to go after the founding fathers of our country.
Absolutely.
And to go after our culture and our values and ultimately our Constitution.
That's exactly what gets under their skin. This is a hunt to destroy Americans' heritage. Not just for the heck of it, not just because they don't like these people, but because they don't like the philosophy on which it is based, the philosophy of individual freedom against government tyranny. They don't like that. They can't stand it.
And, David, how's this for irony? One of their left-wing progressive heroes, Woodrow Wilson, was a racist, as we know. He brought in Birth of a Nation, screened it at the White House, and called it history with a lightning rod that glamorized the paramilitary arm of the Democrat Party called the Ku Klux Klan. But their progressive hero, their philosophical hero, even President Obama's hero, I would think, his intellectual predecessor, Woodrow Wilson, also had the same kinds of fundamental problems with our Constitution and with individual liberty and responsibility.
Well, and you know, I mean, the KKK was like this with the Democratic Party. The last serving member of Congress that I know of who was with the KKK was a Democrat, Senator Byrd. So, I mean, there's a long history of association. It's more Democrats than Republicans associated with it. But
absolutely,
a lot of people, when you read the website of stories that have been covering this, they say, well, this is just a wild incident. It's not happening beyond concerns about Robert E. Lee.
No.
You're not going to see the destruction of other statues. But on the other hand, we had Bill de Blasio, the leftist mayor of New York, now questioning the Christopher Columbus statue at the center of Columbus Circle. You also have a legislator in New York talking about Grant's tomb. Now, Ulysses Grant was a Union soldier, not a Confederate, but apparently he was an anti-Semite, according to this legislator, and that's why Grant's tomb should be torn down. So it's happening all over. Where will it stop?
The madness will not end, and I have to admit, David, I'm not surprised at Comrade de Blasio, and I just pray that one of the many candidates, Bo Dietl is one of the candidates, and several of the candidates will take him on and give him a run for his money and liberate New York from his comradeship.
I need to be liberated from him. But a final last point, because I got to talk about the president, what happened last night. He had a number of prominent African Americans, Alveda King, the niece of Martin Luther King Jr., Ben Carson, who's in his cabinet, et cetera, and he made the case that he's not a racist. Of course, to have to make that case is kind of insulting in and of itself. But again, the Wall Street Journal editorial page used to talk about something called the liberal plantation, that if you're an African American and you do not abide by the liberal rules in the United States right now, you're condemned. They have a liberal plantation mentality that African Americans have to think a certain way, and if they don't, they're not real African American. What do you make of this? Isn't that really racism turned around?
It is intellectual totalitarianism, and that has visited folks like Alveda King, a very, very dear friend of mine, Dr. Ben Carson. Him and his wife are wonderful friends and colleagues, myself, my father before me, so many others, and it's an intellectual totalitarianism that is spreading more and more. Yeah. It's not just punishing blacks, it's punishing those who want to honor our Constitution and our heritage and our legacy, and it's something that I think the American people should take deadly serious. Those so-called never-Trumpers within the Republican Party need to understand that there's more at stake than just Donald Trump. This is bigger than just Donald Trump.
Well said. Niger Innis, great to see you, Niger. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good to see you, David. Thank you.